The deep black space beyond the edge of the solar system was quiet. In that endless ocean floated a ship built from silver metal and living crystal. It was the Varnic, a vessel belonging to a species older than many stars. The Varnic had crossed hundreds of light years on a mission of observation. Their target was a small blue planet circling an average star. Its name in their tongue was meaningless, but the natives called it Earth. The aliens had studied many young species before. Some were peaceful and stayed on their home worlds. Others fought each other until they destroyed themselves. The crew believed humans would be the same, a primitive species with simple tools and dreams too big for their strength. The mission was to confirm this, then report back. Nothing more. Inside the command chamber, the captain stood near a wall of glowing patterns. His name was Karth. He had led many expeditions like this one. His skin shimmered like polished stone, and his long limbs moved with slow grace. Round him, the crew worked in silence. They trusted him, and they trusted their knowledge of the universe. Life was predictable. Civilizations rose, made mistakes, and fell. The galaxy never changed. Suddenly, a soft chime broke the calm. One of the watchers lifted his head. His voice was low but firm. "Captain, I have detected a signal." Karth turned his sharp eyes toward the watcher. "A signal? From where?" The watcher traced his fingers across a silver panel. Lines of light formed into a wave pattern. "It comes from the third planet, the one we call Target World. It is not natural. It repeats in cycles." The room grew tense. Signals from space were rare. Most young species did not know how to send their thoughts beyond their own sky. If these humans had managed to do it, that meant something. Karth stepped closer. "Put it on main display." The walls of the chamber shifted to show the signal. At first, it was noise, a stream of strange sounds, harsh and uneven. Then a rhythm formed. It was not speech as they knew it. It was something else. It rose and fell like waves in an unseen sea. The crew listened, confused. The tones were simple but strong, filled with energy. "What is this?" asked one of the younger crew. His name was Nara. His skin glowed faint blue as he spoke. "It does not sound like language." The watcher tilted his head. "It repeats. In a pattern. That means design. It is not random. Perhaps it is art." "Art?" Karth tasted the word with care. The Varnic people had art, but it was silent and still. Patterns in crystal, dances of light. This sound was alive. It beat like a living heart. "Play more." The signal played on. Voices joined the rhythm, voices full of force and emotion. The aliens did not understand the words, but they felt the weight of them. There was no fear in those voices, no pleading for help. They were strong, even joyful. "What are they saying?" Karth asked. "I will translate," the watcher replied. They waited as the ship's mind worked to break the code of sound. It was fast, built for war long ago. In moments, it had shaped meaning from chaos. The watcher read the translation aloud. The words spoke of rising, of breaking chains, of reaching for the sky. They told of hope, of struggle, of never giving up even when the world was against them. The aliens listened in silence. It was not what they expected. Most young races sang of peace or prayed to unseen powers. These humans sang as if they were the power. Nara shifted uneasily. "This is strange. Their world is still wild. They fight each other for land and food, yet they sing like conquerors." Karth did not answer. His thoughts moved deep. Something about this did not fit the pattern. He had seen empires rise and fall. He knew the signs of greatness and the seeds of ruin. This signal carried both. "Show me more of their transmissions," he ordered. The watcher obeyed. The walls, lit with streams of sound and image, strange moving pictures filled the chamber. Creatures of flesh like the humans, yet dressed in bright colors, fought battles in fields of stars. Others built ships that crossed black seas of space. Some stood before crowds and spoke words of fire. The aliens knew these were stories, not truth, yet they carried a hidden truth. They showed what humans dreamed of, and their dreams were not small. One story told of leaving their world behind to seek new homes among the stars. Another spoke of standing against all odds and winning. These were not fantasies of peace. These were promises wrapped in imagination. Carr felt the weight of this knowledge. A species that dreams of leaving home will one day try. A species that glorifies struggle will fight when the time comes. And a species that sings of victory before it has the strength to win. Is either a fool or a storm waiting to rise, Captain? Nara said softly, "What do you think?" Karth looked at the young one. "I think we have found a species that does not know its limits, and that makes them dangerous." The chamber fell silent. The only sound was the beating rhythm of the human song, still playing in the background. It rose like thunder, a storm across the void, for the first time in many cycles. Carr felt something he had not known in ages. Not fear, not yet, but the shadow of it. The Varnic had come to observe, to study a young species and then leave. But as the song ended and another began, Karth knew this mission would not be simple. They had found more than life. They had found ambition. And ambition was a force that could shake worlds. He turned to the crew. "Keep listening. Learn all you can. The council must hear of this, and do not make contact. Not yet." The crew bowed their heads. The order was clear. Watch, but stay unseen. For in the cold silence beyond the stars, the Varnic had discovered something unexpected. A species that sang to the sky and promised to reach it. A species that might one day do more than dream. The humans called it music. The Varnic called it a warning. The ship Varnic drifted in the cold darkness beyond the orbit of the farthest planet. Its silver hull glowed faintly against the black. Inside, the crew had gathered in the main chamber. The strange signal from Earth still played on a side panel, repeating the same rising and falling sounds. It had not stopped since they found it. Captain Karth stood near the great window that opened toward the distant sun. His tall figure was still, but his mind was full. The words they had translated from the human signal were simple, yet they carried something heavy. They spoke of reaching beyond, of never surrendering, of building a future among stars. They were not just sounds, they were a promise. The crew worked in silence for a long time until Nara spoke. "Captain, there are more transmissions, many more." His voice was careful, almost nervous. "Should we study them?" "Yes," Karth replied without turning his head. "Show me." Nara touched the smooth control panel. At once, the walls of the chamber shifted. Images formed in the air. Bright moving pictures from Earth filled the room. Some showed large gatherings of humans, shouting and cheering. Others showed machines rolling across land, flying through clouds, and diving under seas. Many pictures showed strange devices lifting into the sky with fire beneath them. "These are their stories," said Nara. His blue glowing skin brightened as he spoke. "They call them shows or films. They are dreams made real in images. Dreams tell more than facts." Karth said. His voice was calm, but his eyes stayed fixed on the display. "They show what a species hopes for, and what it fears." The images changed again. Now they saw humans in white suits walking on a gray surface. Behind them was a black sky filled with stars. The crew stared in silence. They understood what this meant. The humans had left their world before. They had touched another. It was small, but it was the first step. They have already walked on another body, said one of the elders in a low voice. They are not only dreaming, they are doing. Karth turned toward the watcher who first found the signal. "How far have they gone?" The watcher answered at once. "Their machines have left their system. Some still send signals. Their kind has not traveled far, but their tools have crossed the void." The chamber grew still. The crew began to understand the truth. This was not a species trapped on its world. It was a species pushing against its chains. Nara frowned. "But they are not united. Look at this." He showed more images. Humans argued. Some fought in groups. They built weapons and machines to destroy each other. They waste their strength. They fight their own kind. How can they hope to reach the stars? The elder replied softly. "Perhaps that is their strength. They fight because they cannot stop moving forward, even against each other." Karth felt a strange weight in his mind. The signal they first found had been music filled with fire and hope. Now these moving pictures added more. He saw humans in metal ships battling across black skies. He saw leaders speaking words that made millions rise. He saw stories where humans fought giants, machines, and even beings of great power, and they always won. He knew these were not real, yet they spoke of something real inside the species. They believed in themselves beyond reason. The captain spoke at last. "Show me the translations of their songs." All of them, the watcher brought. The list, Karth read in silence. His hands moved slowly across the glowing words. The songs spoke of freedom, of building new worlds, of breaking limits. They did not fear struggle. They sang as if struggle was a friend. He had never seen this before. Most species feared the unknown. These humans seemed to run toward it. One line made him pause. It said, "We will reach the stars because they are there." No promise of safety, no reason for gain, just the need to do what others thought was impossible. The silence in the chamber grew heavy. Finally, the strategist, a quiet figure with dark silver skin, spoke. "Captain, we should leave. This species is dangerous." "Dangerous?" Nara said. His voice shook a little. "They are still weak. Their weapons cannot reach us. Their minds cannot touch ours." The strategist turned his head slowly. His eyes were cold like the void. "Not now, but one day. The species that dreams this way will not stop. Not even death will hold them. They will fight until they win." Karth listened without speaking. He knew the strategist was not wrong. The signs were there. He thought of the council back home. They would want answers. They would ask if this species could be guided, controlled, or destroyed before it became a threat. But Karth had seen enough. He knew the truth. Trying to break a species like this would not end well. "Keep watching," he said at last, "but no contact. If they see us before they are ready, it will change everything." The crew obeyed. But unease filled the air. They could feel the weight of what they had found. This was not like other missions. Other species had songs of peace or prayers to unseen powers. Humans sang of power in themselves. That was rare. That was something to fear. Hours passed as they studied more signals. They found speeches from leaders of the past. One voice spoke clearly, full of strength. "We will go to the stars, not because it is easy, but because it is hard." The words struck like a storm in the quiet chamber. The crew felt it even without the full meaning. It was the sound of a mind that refused limits. Karth stood very still. He had led missions for 100 cycles, and nothing had surprised him in years. But now, something deep inside warned him. If these words were truth, then this species would not stay on its world. They would rise, no matter how long it took. They would not stop for anyone. He looked at the stars beyond the window. Somewhere on that small blue world, humans walked under the same sky and dreamed of reaching it. They did not know who watched them. They did not know what waited among the stars. But they were coming. He could feel it. The captain spoke in a low voice. "Send a message to the council. Tell them what we have seen. And tell them this: if humans rise to the stars, nothing will stand in their way." The watcher bowed his head and began the transmission. Round them, the wall still showed human songs and stories. They burned with the fire of hope. And that fire reached across the void, like a signal brighter than any sun. The Varnik had come to watch. Now they watched with fear. The Varnik drifted in the darkness far beyond the blue planet called Earth. Inside the ship, silence filled the command chamber. Screens still showed the images and sounds gathered from human transmissions. The crew had listened for hours, and what they had learned was not what they expected when they left their homeworld. Captain Karth stood near the viewing window, his long arms folded across his chest. The stars burned bright in the distance, yet his eyes were fixed on the small sun that gave life to Earth. He spoke at last, his voice deep and calm. "We thought this would be like the others, a young species, fragile and slow. But these humans are not like the others." The strategist, a tall figure with silver skin and dark eyes, turned to face him. "Captain, they are still weak. They fight each other for land and power. Their world is divided. Their weapons may destroy themselves before they rise." Karth shook his head. "I have seen divided worlds before. I have seen young races fight their own kind. Most do not dream beyond their sky. These humans dream of the stars while their feet are still in the mud. The strategist said nothing. He understood the captain's meaning. A species that dreams beyond reason does not follow the usual path. At that moment, Nara entered the chamber carrying a crystal tablet. His skin glowed faint blue with nervous energy. Captain, I have the full record of their signal sources. There are thousands of them, songs, speeches, stories, and something called broadcasts. They send them into the void without fear. Without fear, Karth repeated softly. He turned toward the images floating in the air. They showed humans, standing before crowds, speaking words of fire. Others showed machines leaving the ground with great flames. And then, there were their stories, tales of traveling among stars, meeting strange beings. And always, always winning. The captain walked to the center of the chamber. His steps were slow, thoughtful. Do you know what this means, Nara? The young one lowered his head. It means they dream big. It means they believe, Karth said. And belief is more dangerous than weapons. The crew looked uneasy. None of them had expected this. When the Varnik left their world, the mission was simple. Watch, record, report. There was no danger. The humans were supposed to be like countless others, small, unready, and harmless. But as the days passed and more signals came, that belief began to change. Later, in the quiet of his private chamber, Karth reviewed the latest transmissions. The ship's mind had translated more human words. Some were old speeches spoken by leaders long dead. One of them caught his attention. We choose to go to the moon, not because it is easy, but because it is hard. Karth read it twice. He could not understand why a species would speak this way. Most races moved toward the easy path. They avoided pain and risk, but these humans celebrated it. They embraced the hard path as if it gave them strength. He opened another record. It was a song. The words said they would fight on and never surrender. It was not just music, it was a vow. Even in their art, they promised themselves that no wall would stop them. Karth leaned back and closed his eyes. His thoughts moved through centuries of history. He had studied many civilizations. Some rose high but always fell when they met their limit. What would happen to a race that refused to accept any limit? In the main chamber, the crew gathered around the strategist. They spoke in low voices, their glowing eyes full of concern. This species is unstable, one of them said. They build weapons that can burn cities. They fight their own kind for control. They could destroy themselves before they leave their world. The strategist shook his head. Perhaps, but do not be so sure. They have faced ruin before, yet they rise again. Look at their stories. They do not fear struggle. They seek it, Nara asked. What does the captain think? He thinks they are dangerous, the strategist said. His voice was like cold metal. And he is right. The chamber grew silent. They all knew what that meant. A dangerous species could not be ignored. The council back home would demand action. They might order the humans to be controlled, or worse. That same cycle, Karth called a meeting. The chamber filled with soft blue light as the crew gathered. The captain stood at the center, tall and silent. His voice carried across the room like a deep wave. We came to watch. We thought this species would be like the others. But now, we know better. He lifted a hand and the walls lit with images, rockets lifting into the sky. Machines rolling across red dust, leaders speaking of impossible dreams, soldiers standing in mud yet smiling as if nothing could break them. These are not the signs of a weak race, Karth said. They are still young. They are still divided. But inside them burns something we have not seen before. What is that, Captain? Asked Nara. Will, Karth said simply. They will not stop, no matter how far, no matter how hard. They will keep moving, and when a species like this reaches the stars, nothing will hold them. The crew shifted uneasily. Some whispered in fear. Others stared at the images as if seeing them for the first time. What do we do? Asked the strategist. Karth looked at him. His eyes were dark as the void. We do nothing. We watch, and we warn the council. Warn them of what? Nara asked. The captain spoke slowly, warned them that a storm is coming. It is small now, but it will grow. If they try to control it, it will break them. If they try to destroy it, it will rise again. The only question is when. The chamber fell silent. The crew understood. The first mistake had already been made. They had thought this mission was safe. They had thought the humans were harmless. But now they knew the truth, and the truth was simple. The humans were not harmless. They were dangerous, not because of what they had, but because of what they believed. Outside the ship, the blue planet turned slowly in the light of its star. On its surface, humans walked under skies full of dreams. They did not know who watched them. They did not know their songs had carried across the void. They did not know the fear they had awoken in the hearts of those who lived among the stars. But one day, they would die, and on that day, the galaxy would change forever. The Varnick floated in silence beyond the far edge of the solar system. Days had passed since Captain Karth warned the Council about the humans. The crew had continued to monitor transmissions from the blue planet, and with each passing cycle, the sense of unease grew stronger. Inside the command chamber, Gnarl worked alone. His hands moved quickly over the glowing control pads as he searched for more human signals. He had learned much in the last days. Humans spoke in thousands of voices. Across endless waves of sound and light, they shared songs, stories, plans, in hopes of no fear that someone out there might be listening. As he searched, something unusual appeared on his screen. It was a new signal, strong and clear, unlike the others. Nara frowned and began decoding it. At first, it sounded like speech, but then it became something else, something powerful. Captain. Nara called, his voice tight. You need to hear this. Karth entered moments later, the strategist close behind. The young officer played the signal. A deep voice filled the chamber, speaking words that struck like thunder. We are not alone. If anyone hears this, know that we will reach the stars. We will meet you, and we will stand as equals. The message repeated in many human languages. Then came an image, humans waving their hands at the sky with smiles on their faces. Behind them were great machines standing on wide plains. The chamber fell silent. The crew stared at the glowing images. This was not like the songs and stories they had seen before. This was a message for the stars, a message for whoever was listening, a message for them. They are calling to the void, said Nara. His voice was low, almost fearful. They are asking if someone is out here. The strategist spoke coldly. They are not asking. They are declaring. They are saying they will. Come. Karth said nothing. His eyes stayed on the image of the humans waving toward the sky. The signal kept playing, over and over, like a drumbeat across the black. This changes everything, said the strategist. This is not just a dream now. This is a promise. The captain called for a full meeting. The crew gathered in the great chamber, where the walls shimmered with the message from Earth. The same words repeated in the background. We will reach the stars. Karth stood before his crew. His voice was calm, but it carried weight. You have all seen this. You know what it means. One of the officers, a quiet watcher with pale skin, spoke first. It means they believe they are ready. The captain nodded. And belief is the first step to power. The strategist stepped forward. Captain, this cannot go unanswered. The council will demand we act. If these humans rise, they will change everything we know. What would you suggest? Karth asked. Stop them. Before it is too late, the strategist said. Before they learn how to leave their system. Murmurs filled the chamber. Some agreed. Others looked uneasy. Nara spoke up, his voice sharp with fear. Destroy them? For sending a message. That is not our way. The strategist turned cold. Eyes on him. It will be their way one day. If they rise, they will not ask for permission. They will take. Karth lifted a hand for silence. Enough. There will be no action without the council. We will watch. We will learn. Nothing more. But deep inside, Karth knew the truth. The council would not wait forever. If they believed the humans were a threat, they would decide the humans' fate. And Karth did not know if he could stop them. That cycle, the captain sat alone in his private chamber. He replayed the human message again and again. each time. The same voice spoke with the same fire. We will reach the stars. We will stand as equals. He thought of all the species he had known. Most were content to stay where they were. They did not challenge the void. They did not shout into the darkness. But these humans they called out without fear. They demanded to be heard. Karth wondered if they understood what they were awakening. Did they know who might be listening? Did they know the danger of declaring themselves to the galaxy? Or did they simply not care? Perhaps that was their greatest strength. They were not afraid. Far away on Earth, a small team of humans stood inside a control room. Screens glowed around them, showing images of the deep black beyond their world. They did not know they were being watched. They only knew they had sent their message to the stars. They dreamed that someone, somewhere, would hear them. One of them smiled and said, "Do you think anyone will answer?" Another laughed softly. "If they do, I hope they are friendly." They all laughed then, full of hope. None of them guessed that far beyond their sun, eyes were already on them. Eyes that watched in silence. Eyes that wondered if they should live or die. On the Varnock, the crew kept listening. They recorded every human word, every image, every sound, and with each signal, the sense of danger grew. "These humans are not waiting for permission," said the strategist one day. "They are not asking for the stars. They are claiming them." Nar looked up from his screen. "Maybe that is why they will win." The strategist frowned. "What do you mean? They do not wait." Nar said, "They do not fear. They just move forward." The room grew quiet. The crew knew he was right, and that truth was more frightening than any weapon. Karth stood once more at the great window, staring at the faraway glow of Earth's sun. His thoughts were heavy. He knew what was coming. The Council would not allow this species to rise without a fight. But could anything truly stop them? He whispered to the stars, though no one could hear. "What are you, humans? What fire burns in you that nothing can quench?" The blue planet turned far away, unaware of the storm gathering in the dark. And somewhere, deep in the void, the future waited. A future where humans would not only reach for the stars, they would take them. The Varnock sailed quietly through the black sea of stars. Inside, the crew waited for the answer from the Council. Captain Karth had sent the report about Earth and its humans. The message was clear. The humans were no longer a weak species. They dreamed big, they fought hard, and they were ready to rise beyond their world. Now, the captain waited. The Council was the most powerful group in the galaxy. They ruled the many planets and species. When a new threat was found, it was the Council's job to decide what to do. Karth stood in the main chamber. Round him, his crew worked in silence. They had watched humans for many cycles. They had seen the songs, the speeches, the calls into space. They knew the humans would try to reach the stars. A message arrived. The captain's eyes scanned the text quickly. It was time. The Council's chamber was a vast hall on a distant planet. Tall beings from many species sat in circles around a glowing table. They spoke in low voices until the message from Karth arrived. When they heard the report, the room grew quiet. The Council leader, an old being with green skin and many eyes, rose. His voice was deep and steady. "We have watched this new species for many cycles. They are dangerous, but not yet a threat. What is our decision?" A voice from the far side spoke sharply. "We should act now." They send signals into the void. They declare their power. If we wait, they will become too strong. Another voice disagreed. "They are not ready. Their world is divided. They fight each other. They cannot leave their system yet." The debate went on for many hours. Some feared the human spirit. Others believed that fear was too soon. Finally, the leader spoke again. "We will send a message, a warning. We will offer help, but make clear we watch them closely. If they rise with peace, we will welcome them. If they choose war, we will stand against them." The decision was made. The humans would receive their first contact. Back on the Varnock, the crew prepared the message. It was careful and full of respect. The words told the humans that others were watching, that the stars were not empty, that help was near if they wanted it. Karth looked at the message. It was the first true contact with humanity. The moment felt heavy. "Send it," he said. The message sped across space. It traveled fast, carried by the ship's powerful signals. On Earth, the humans were busy. They worked on machines to send beyond their world. They sent signals into the void, hoping for an answer. Then one day, a strange message arrived. At first, they did not believe it. The message was clear. We see you. We watch you. The stars are not empty. The humans were shocked. Some were afraid. Others were filled with hope. A meeting was called. Leaders spoke with great care. They knew that the galaxy was wider and more alive than they had imagined. Captain Karth watched from the shadows of space. He saw the humans respond with wonder and respect. They sent their own message back, full of peace and promise. For a time, things were calm. The humans learned about the stars. They learned about the many species watching them. But the fire inside the humans did not cool. Their dreams of reaching the stars grew even stronger. The strategist spoke quietly to Karth. This peace may not last. Karth nodded. We watch, but we prepare. They will rise. The crew knew the truth. The humans' first contact was not the end. It was only the beginning. Far away, under the same stars, humans looked up. They dreamed of the day they would touch the sky and walk among the stars. They did not know what waited beyond. They only knew they must try. The Varnic continued its silent watch. The future was uncertain. But one thing was sure. The galaxy would never be the same again. The stars shone quietly outside the Varnic. Inside, the crew was busy. Captain Karth stood in the command chamber, watching the screens that showed Earth's signals. The humans had sent a peaceful reply to the Council's message, but the captain knew peace was only the beginning. We cannot ignore what we have seen. Karth said softly to his crew, these humans have fire in their hearts. They will not stop. Nara, the young officer, looked up from his console. They build machines that reach higher every year. Their technology grows fast. The strategist nodded, and their spirit grows faster. Karth walked to the great window. The blue planet spun slowly in the light of its sun. We watch the species on the edge of change. They may rise or fall, but one day they will step into the stars. The crew worked day and night. They studied the human signals carefully. Every word, every image was stored and examined. They learned about human science, culture, and dreams. On Earth, humans faced many challenges. Some fought among themselves, and some doubted the messages from space. But others saw a new path of future where humans were not alone. A great team of scientists, engineers, and dreamers came together. They built new ships, stronger and faster than before. They trained pilots and explorers. They prepared to reach beyond their world. One leader stood before a crowd, speaking with hope. We are not alone. The stars are waiting for us. We will go to them with peace in our hearts and courage in our souls. The crowd cheered. They believe in the dream. Back on the Varnic, Karth spoke to his crew. The humans will grow. They will learn to travel beyond their sun. We must be ready. The strategist frowned. If they come to us, what will we do? Karth was quiet. We must hope they come with open hands, not weapons. The crew felt the weight of the future. The galaxy was changing. In the darkness of space, the Varnic sent signals back to Earth. Messages of peace and friendship. Offers to share knowledge. Warnings about dangers beyond the stars. The humans listened. They replied with words of thanks and curiosity. They wanted to learn. They wanted to explore. But always, in their voices, was the fire of those who would not give up. One day, the crew on the Varnic noticed something new. The humans had built a ship that could leave Earth's orbit. It was small but strong. It carried hopes and dreams. The captain watched the launch on his screen. The rocket rose through the sky, leaving a trail of fire. History begins, he said softly. The humans' first steps into space were watched by many eyes. Some cheered, others waited quietly, unsure of what would come next. On the Varnic, the crew prepared for the future. They would watch and learn. They would protect their worlds if needed. But they also hoped for peace. Karth looked once more at the distant blue planet. We do not know what tomorrow brings, but we will meet it together, far away on Earth. The explorers looked back at the home they left behind. They carried the dreams of all humanity. The stars were no longer distant. They were close, and the future was waiting. The Varnik drifted silently in space. Captain Karth stood in the command chamber, eyes fixed on the distant blue world, Earth, the home of humans, the species that had stirred the quiet galaxy into motion. For many cycles, they had watched, they had learned, they had prepared. Now, the moment had come. On Earth, the explorers returned from their first journey beyond the sky. Their ship glided down toward the planet's surface, carrying new knowledge and hope. People gathered to welcome them home. Their eyes shone with pride and wonder. The humans had taken their first true steps into space. The dream was real. But, far beyond Earth, many in the galaxy watched closely. The Council had sent envoys, ships with peaceful greetings and careful questions. The message was clear. The galaxy was ready to meet humanity. But humanity must be ready to. Captain Karth met with the envoys aboard the Varnik. They spoke of trust, respect, and the need to work together. The humans listened, their leaders eager to learn and share. The strategist, once wary, now said quietly, "Perhaps this new age will be one of peace." Karth smiled, but his eyes were serious. "Hope is strong, but so is the unknown. We must be ready for all that comes." The crew continued their watch. They studied human progress. Humans built great ships that could travel farther and faster. They formed alliances with other species who believed in peace and cooperation. The stars were no longer a place to fear. They were a place to explore. Back on Earth, children looked up at the night sky. They saw the twinkling stars and dreamed of adventures among them. They learned about the vast galaxy and the many beings who lived there. Teachers told stories of courage, hope, and friendship. The story of humans reaching for the stars became a legend of its own. Captain Karth stood once again by the great window. The galaxy was changing. A new age was beginning. He thought of the humans and their fiery spirit. They were not like any species he had known. They fought hard but dreamed harder. They could be friends or foes, but most of all, they were survivors. The dawn of a new age. He whispered, "The age of humans." Suddenly, a signal arrived. It was from Earth. It carried a message of peace and invitation. Humans wanted to meet the galaxy. They wanted to share knowledge and build together. The Council accepted. The Varnik prepared to carry their own ambassadors to Earth. The meeting on Earth was like no other. Beings from many worlds gathered. They shared stories, ideas, and dreams. They talked of exploration, science, and culture. Humans and aliens stood side by side, united by their desire to reach beyond their home planets. Captain Karth looked around at the new friends. He saw hope shining in every eye. The galaxy was no longer dark and lonely. It was full of light. As the meeting ended, Karth knew the journey was just beginning. Challenges would come, but so would new discoveries. Together, they would reach the stars. Together, they would write the next chapter of the universe. And so, the story of humans and the galaxy began, a story of hope, courage, and the endless search for the unknown. The dawn of a new age had arrived.